That the first thing I do is I look at either the name of the brand or the organization, and I look for the etymology of it. I try to find what the archetype is that it's connected to. And and so that's one of the first things I do is I look at the name and I try to get a holistic sort of archetypal view of what that brand is about, and overlay stories on it. I need a combination of human and use the example of like a pathologist. An AI can give you a really good diagnosis on a patient based on all of his symptoms and global and historical databases, and come back with a really solid diagnosis. But you're going to need that human there to say it doesn't quite feel right. That doesn't feel right. And the reason it doesn't feel right, it's not that he's a psychic. It's not that he has this grand intuition. It's based on these supercomputers we have in our skulls that bring in all this qualia, all this information from education and just the cues they're getting from looking at the patient. That's why it doesn't feel right. And we need to focus more on those things and teach our students more about that aspect of being human, developing our intuition, developing this qualia that we intake all the time. That is, I think, so we will need to become shepherds to AI. AI is a great worker. AI will do millions of models of an idea in nanoseconds. The whole thing is to get rid of this exclusivity ethos, because that's really our new lion. That's that's our real existential threat now, is this feeling of being exclusive, and so the reason I called it open source mode is because it's based on the tenets of open source code. It's and we have companies like Android and other companies, Firefox at the time, that were using kind of open source, and it was increasing their market share. It was making their software better, whereas you had like the Apples and whatnot were just closed systems, and they still have their cult following that can dissipate at any time. But I don't know. It's just really important right now in the corporate world to get beyond this exclusivity ethos, to understand the individual expertise of every person, not put us in slots, not put us in these industrial age cogs in this wheel. Between baby boomers and millennials and younger. And where Gen X is pretty small strata of the population. So we are the civilization's middle child. And so I think now it's important that we listen hard to our younger siblings, because a lot of people, Gen X and baby boomers, complain that they're always on their phones. But if you stopped and looked at what they were doing on their phones, they are developing a global hive mind with a whole new Tower of Babel building language, with memes and emojis, that cross languages. And so it's really fascinating. I think it's important that we foster that, because we're going to need it if we're going to continue as a species, if we're going to get beyond some of these existential threats.